Alright guys, here is Olivia Edwards, homesteader, Freestar native, and I guess you could say Akila City native. She just blew her life savings on the ship, like, quite literally. We got 64 credits to start this bad boy out. So, and then in terms of the gear, it's realistically just what I collected from the Argos missions at the beginning of the game. So, really all I did up to this point is drop the first artifacts off to Constellation, and then instead of talking to Sarah to go on that mission with her, I just peaced out and then came straight here. First and foremost, the roles to this challenge are, we are a normal citizen. So we do normal citizen things, which means no killing. The only way I can make that justified is if it's a back against the wall self-defense like scenario, which I don't know what that'll end up meaning, but I guess we'll find out, because let's be honest, 99% of us humans are gonna live our lives without killing somebody. So if I'm gonna be a normal citizen in this game, I feel like that's gotta be my mantra. But regardless, really my goal is, right off the rip, I don't know what my goal is. I guess maybe we could take some side quests that don't involve murder inside of Akila City. Get some cash, since we're obviously broke AF. Because ultimately, the main goal is to colonize all of Freestar space. So Freestar space is three star systems: Narion, Cheyenne, and Volai. Now, I don't know if I'm going to absolutely limit this entire playthrough to just those 3 stars in terms of trading and in terms of just like exploration, but colonization, so outposts, it's just gonna be these 3 stars. But honestly, between these 3 stars, I mean, they're pretty darn resource rich. Like, Narion's got a bunch of stuff going on here, which I'm not going to be able to see because I'm not here. I'm a dummy. But Cheyenne, for instance, even Cheyenne is like a hammer. It's pretty decent. I mean, it doesn't have everything, but we can definitely get a good start. Especially without having planetary habitation, because a good bit of these planets are temperate. Temperate, or at least like frozen. So we can get a good bit of extractors probably without even leaving this star system. Now I can't remember. Okay, 8. So we got 8 outposts to roll with before we even level anything up. Now, in terms of leveling, since I'm a level 4, I started with geology, survey, and what the heck else does homesteader start with? Weightlifting. So I got one perk of each of those, and then for the levels that I gained from the intro of the game, I chose scavenging because I thought it made sense for homesteader, and then boost pack because that's pretty essential. And then lockpick, because I look at that as essential too, especially early game when we're trying to do stuff. But what we want to do, and what trees we're going to be in the most, are probably social and definitely science. And the reason for that is because we want zoology and botany for sure, so we can get animal husbandries and greenhouses. But we also want outpost engineering and planetary habitation. So, like, we're going to be hammering science. And we also would be nice to have outpost management for the additional cargo links. But we'll see. I mean, I'm definitely going to invest in this, but it's not the main priority. Not like this, at least. Because I can make 3 work. It's going to be hard, but I can make 3 work. I've did it in my main playthrough that you probably stumbled across this channel through. my Outpost Network series. So I can do it again. In my Outpost Network series, I basically had 8 planets set up in my single star system before I even realized that this perk existed. So I was funneling everything through 3 cargo links for a while. Anyways, so I can definitely make this work. But out of convenience factor, like, that I would like it. And then in terms of, like, physical combat tech, probably just gonna ignore it. Other than maybe piloting, because we're eventually going to need more cargo space. And I don't think we're gonna get the cargo space we need out of A-class. Probably gonna at least need a B-class ship. So, with that all out of the way, into Akila City for the first time we go. Olivia's brand new ship. She's happy, man. Look at her. She is absolutely pumped. I mean, look how pumped she is. Absolutely stoked that she's got a ship for the first time in her life. Not so stoked that she's absolutely broke. Alright, so to get things kicked off, I noticed some resources out here on the outskirts of the city. So I figured, hey, you know what? These are going to come in handy here in a little bit, because right off the rip, I want to get right into outpost building. And there's a couple good moons right off of Akila that we're going to start on. But before I even get there, I need to bank some resources. So I kind of just, you know, comb the outskirts of Akila, use the cutter, the old-fashioned way to collect these resources. And then also, I kind of thought that skipping the bank heist would be a good idea. I don't know why I thought this, but I certainly darn well tried. And to do that, I realistically played hopscotch up on the rooftops so I could avoid the guard that's waiting at the entrance of Akila that kind of funnels you into the bank heist. Because I said to myself, you know what? I can take one of these, you know, small one-off side quests that don't involve any violence, that's just kind of like a fetch deal, to get a couple thousand credits. And that'll be enough to get me started. Well, unfortunately, I learned the hard way that until you do the bank heist, nobody even wants to talk to you. So, go figure. The whole town is stirred up over a bank robbery. I mean, why wouldn't they be? So ultimately, we need money somehow. So I end up just saying, screw it. Let's just go to the bank heist and do this peacefully, because I know it can be done. And this is how we get our money to start our first couple outposts.
Hey, you in the bank. I'm sending in a negotiator.
Hands where I can see him. And don't try nothing. You're the negotiator, huh? If you think you're just gonna walk up here and get us to surrender, you're dead wrong. It's Jed. Jed Bullock. Well, ain't you polite? So tell me, stranger, how do I know you're gonna deal straight with us? I heard that. Okay, so let's talk. We want to guarantee a safe passage to the spaceport and a ship. We'll drop the hostages off somewhere safe in the system. After that, we'll radio back where they are, and the Marshal and his crew can come and get them. But if anybody follows us when we break orbit, we start shooting people. Got it? Then persuade the Marshal that it ain't. This whole damn job's gone wrong. It was supposed to be just a quick hit. Clean and simple, you know? So let's all try to keep our heads, yeah? Because my guys, they're going crazy in here. I don't know how much longer we can last. What do you mean? Yeah. I don't think any of us is ready to die here. Nobody's been hurt. So maybe the judge won't come down too hard on us. Yeah. I think this has gone on long enough. You go tell the marshal we'll come quietly.
First things first. How'd you get the Shaw gang to stand down? Considering those are Shaw's people, that's damn near a miracle. Here, you've more than earned this.
Sure, everything will turn out just fine.
Boom, we needed that. That's 3 G's straight to the face. Oh, 4 G's, actually. I'll take that.
Saving my life.
Can't beat that. We needed that pretty bad, too, because I'm totally out of drink. I got plenty of food, but I have nothing to drink.
Take a gander.
Hopefully this guy's got some. He does. Take 2 of those. Take 2 of those. Then we round up the first bit of our resources for our first couple outposts. We're searching mainly for iron, tungsten, aluminum. I grabbed some zero wire here. And then I remember there's actually a mineral place here called Midtown Minerals with a absolute babe working the counter. So I buy pretty much so everything that I think is useful. Copper, iron, aluminum, lead, nickel. I get some titanium. I get more tungsten. And then this dude gets in my way.
Might want to steer clear.
Get out of my face, dude.
Lots of crime over there.
Alright, so we're gonna do this moon right here off of Akila. Since it's all craters, it really doesn't matter where I land. Generally, I would try to get a 2 biome split in the seed, but since it's all craters, it doesn't matter. At this point, I'm just really gonna run around the moon, playing hopscotch, trying to find all 4 resources that the moon has to offer in one outpost. Which, that's a tall ask, but luckily I do manage to get all 4 resources in one single outpost. So right off the rip, we're sitting good. We're getting beryllium, neodymium, and aluminum, plus helium-3 to run our inner system links that we're going to create later on in this run. Because ultimately, like I said, we're going to try to occupy all of Freestar space, which is Narion, Volai, and Cheyenne. But first and foremost, since we got the money from the bank heist and bought the resources for these extractors, we're going to drop one of each extractor and the power to run them. So we got a beryllium extractor, an aluminum extractor, a neodymium extractor, and a helium-3 extractor. But unfortunately, we got to build some adaptive frames so we can get the storage bins down. Because what good is an extractor at the end of the day if we have nowhere to dump the resources? So we're going to drop a couple solid bins here, a couple gas bins, snake them together as usual, connect the extractors, and what a bing, what a bang, we got solids. And then for now, I'm going to go ahead and connect all of these into the same storage bin chain, which I highly am against. But since we're slim pickings right now, I'm going to do that for the time being. But when I get our first cargo link up, I'll separate all 3 of those resources into their own bins. I dropped a turret just to protect this place, and then I realized when I went to go put down the link, the cargo link, I don't have enough adaptive frames or iron. So we'll come back to that. I drop another solar panel, and then I go ahead and connect the helium-3 to the bins. So realistically, we got everything rocking and rolling right now. As you can see, we're already making solids. I didn't grab the helium-3, but we're making helium-3 as well. So we go back to Akila. We're going to sell what little stuff we have, and then we're going to buy up the resources that we need to continue this endeavor. which essentially we're going to get some iron, we're going to get some zero wire, some tungsten. I clean the stores out, I find a chair, I rest to restock the stores, and I just realistically do the process all over again until I bankrupt myself. I'm going to once again invest all my cash realistically into myself, into expansion, because cash ain't doing me any good at this point. The real moneymaker in the future is going to be straight up us and our outposts. And then I'm just going to go ahead and shove all my stuff into the frontier just to get it out of my person. So now would be a good time to explain how I started this run out with 64 credits. So I hired the girl that we just walked past. That got rid of like 6,000 credits. And then I added a control station to the frontier. I had to upgrade the engines with 2 dwarf 1010s, as well as a small upgrade to the grav drive, and that pretty much so deleted all my credits, because I don't like to start these runs out with really anything other than a pistol, 60 rounds, and like maybe 1,000 credits. And by the time I got done with Argos, I had like 15,000 credits that I had to figure out how to ditch. So I figured, hey, we're going to be doing an outpost-centric run here. It makes sense to have the frontier a little beefed up, especially since we were going with the premise that she's just bought her first ship. So that's you all caught up. So after running back to the ship to clear out my inventory, I run back to the city again to finish clearing it out, because ultimately I'm just here to clear out all my cash and get as much from these vendors as I can, because the object is to get this first outpost fully functionable and ready to go. And that means getting this cargo link down, which we just got. So, here we go. We're in good friggin' shape when it comes to expansion, because now when we get this second outpost set up, we're going to be ripping tough. So, we're going to go run around, we're going to collect all of the stuff from here, and then we are actually going to go to our next outpost location, which is going to be another moon of Akila. But here's where we run into our first problem.
Right. Let's get blown the fuck up.
Oh man, we're already fucking smashed. So, yep, just like that, we tested that theory pretty early on, oh, no killing unless it's a survival situation. I think I remember saying, if my back is against the wall, I guess if it's back against the wall, self-defense. Thought it was a good idea to take the wanted perk, because I thought it would be interesting to try to run away from dudes all the time. But in theory, it really doesn't make a lot of sense, so we're probably going to end up paying the Trackers Alliance eventually, but for now, we're just going to deal with it and act like they're trying to steal our cargo. So here we got the biome split. We got frozen mountains on one side, and 1 pixel away, we got mountains. So you basically just, like a freaking half of a centimeter, move the mouse or controller over, and when it's, like, telling you mountains, and then 1 click away it's telling you frozen mountains, there's a good chance you're going to get a split biome, and that's what we got here. So immediately, while I'm running to my destination, I'm going to scan everything in sight, because ultimately this is a marginal, I believe, planet here. We got 4 and 4, so 4 flora, 4 fauna. So we might be able to drop some husbandries and greenhouses down on this bad boy a little bit later. So we're going to do the same thing we did on that last moon, and we're going to try to get 4+ resources. I really wanted 5 on this planet because I ran into carboxylic acids and alkanes. I just couldn't get the 2 together. I ran around for 30 freaking minutes trying to get those 5 resources, and I just couldn't make it happen. And honestly, my time is more valuable than spending an hour trying to make that happen. So I went with alkanes because you use them more. And at this point, I'm just scoping out, you know, how big of these veins that we have. And I got some big veins in this outpost. Very happy with it. But right off the rip, I need iron. It's a core resource. We're going to be using it a butt ton for expansion. So that is the very first extractor I throw down. I make a small storage chain since I'm still rolling with the small boxes. And then I drop a solar array immediately so we can start generating iron right now. And then I don't know why, but I thought that I had the resources to make the alkanes and the argon happen as well, which I could drop the extractors, I could make the storage bins, but I don't have the copper to drop the solar arrays to power the 2. So for now, we're just going to go ahead and connect it up as if, you know, it was finished, but they just won't be powered. So I connect the bins to the extractors, and then at this point I realize that I fracked up and I'm copperless. So I grab the iron that we have here, and I fly my butt back to Akila, because at this point we're spending so much darn time on Akila. I promise it's not because I like to look at the shopkeeper. We buy some copper, sit the qua, aka sit our butt down on the chair in Italian, and thirst myself to death. So at this point I gotta drink and I gotta eat because we're still playing survival mode, and then we copper it up again. So 2 rounds of copper. We get some iron while we're at it too. Even though we're producing iron, we have to make adaptive frames, so we're just gonna go buy it up anyways. We get some membrane too. I forget what we needed that for. And then I scoop up some adaptive frames, not realizing how much they were, and now we're broke again. Oh, I didn't realize how much that was. We're broke again. We shove everything in the frontier as usual because I have absolutely no carrying weight. And then off to our new outpost because we are absolute chads at this point. We're feeling tough. We're feeling frisky, because we've got some stuff going. 2 planets, 8 mats all together. We are kicking some butt, taking some names. We got our copper, so we slap down our solar arrays and then slap down our cargo link, baby. As always, you want to put storage right next to the cargo link because we are taking stuff in on this planet. So we're going to be shipping stuff to this planet. So we're going to snake these together, and then we are going to connect the incoming box to these bins. So the incoming box is the green box. Go ahead and connect them, and since we're getting gas and solids from that planet, we need gas and solid bins. Now, that cargo link won't get backed up for a little bit, so always put storage for your cargo link so that incoming box has a place to dump to. Ultimately, we need more adaptive frames, of course, because it seems like everything we build here requires adaptive frames. There's a pattern, and we're going to solve that a little later on in this episode. So right now, I want to really get this shipbuilder pad down just so my ship has a place to land and I can access my cargo hold inside of the outpost. And then we're just going to use the rest of our adaptive frames to expand our storage here, because ultimately, since this is going to be our incoming planet, we're going to have a lot of resources coming here, so we need as much storage as possible. And we're also going to put down a hab, because I'm eventually, when my broke ass has the money, going to hire somebody to take care of production and management here. So 2 crew members. Maybe get a security guard as well, so 3. But for now, we at least want 1 crew station so we can get an engineering specialist when we get the money. So we're going to grab what we have in the bins, iron-wise, and then we're piecing off to our first outpost, where it all started, baby. And then when I get here, I realize that the screen says that my production rate has increased because I surveyed the whole planet. I never knew this. So in all my outpost building, I never knew that. So, hey, that's cool. Considering we're pushing resources off this planet to our other planet, that's huge. But as you could see, I just connected the helium-3 link to the outgoing box, and now I'm going to connect the solids to the outgoing box. So at this point, this link is ready to go. It's ready to push 4 resources in total off to the other planet. So that other planet is going to have 8 resources in total. 4 that's accessible on that planet itself, and then these 4 right here that you're seeing me push. And then just like that, here comes our first ship, ready to pick up our first load. And then I want to put a shipbuilder pad on this planet as well, just like I said, so I have access to my cargo hold. Because if the ship is parked too far away from the outpost, you cannot access the cargo hold. And then we're dealing with nothing but science, pretty much so. Perk-wise and level-up-wise, because we want zoology, we want all kinds of stuff in all reality. So we're going to get our 5 points so we can access that second tier. At this point, I realize that this is not enough storage for 3 solids worth of extractors, because if you remember, we got 3 solids of extractors here. We got beryllium, we got aluminum, and we got neodymium. So I'm going to put another row on top of that, and then I'm going to connect it to the outgoing box. But then I was like, you know what? No, I don't like this. This goes against everything that I tell people to do in my guides. So I ripped this back apart, and what I'm going to do is separate these solid bins. So I will have a storage bin chain for the beryllium, a storage bin chain for the aluminum, and a storage bin chain for the neodymium. They will all be separated. So then I'll have 3 links in total going to the outgoing box. I'll have a link for the aluminum, a link for the neodymium, and a link for the beryllium. So really all I'm doing is I'm pulling all of this apart so I can get access to each one of these input links. Realistically, I just want to delete every single link to every single box so I can start fresh. That way I know that there's no mess ups in the chain. Now, since I have 2 iron extractors and only 1 beryllium and 1 neodymium, I'm going to have 4 boxes for the iron and then only 2 for the beryllium, 2 for the neodymium. And then boom, we're going to go ahead and connect our beryllium and our neodymium extractors to their own storage chains. So now each one of our solids has its own storage chain. So we're going to start off with the beryllium, run that bad boy on over to the outgoing box. Then we're going to grab the good old neodymium, drag that bad boy on over to the outgoing box. And then we're going to grab the ye old iron and drag that bad boy to the outgoing box. And now we have a properly linked up cargo link that I promise will not give any bottlenecking because of how we set this thing up. And then for shats and gigs, we're going to go ahead and run on over to the outgoing box to look at the split. And as you can see, it looks good. I mean, we do have more aluminum, but that's just because we have an extra aluminum extractor. That'll change in the future because I don't like to do that. I preach the equal amount of extractors for every resource because that's how you prevent bottlenecking. So off to the other outpost we go.
Stopping here was a good call. It seems like a friendly place.
You like that? We should be filling up this cargo link over here. Yep. Look at that. Like, we're already gonna freaking need storage. Yeah, we're ripping, dude. Ripping we are, baby. Even the companion approves. Now, we're gonna add more storage because, like I seen, we're already kind of like getting full. But hey, that's because we're running small bins. We haven't unlocked the mediums and larges yet. But as usual, I need more friggin' adaptive frames and resources or whatever the hell I needed. But I get the instead of deleting this and getting my resources back and rebuilding it, I have the bright idea to drag it all the way to the outpost, which is kind of stupid because if you did not know, you can simply just delete this, you'll get your resources back, and then just rebuild it. But I don't know, I guess I had a brain lapse, which that's the story of my life. So we're putting these in the outpost where they belong, and we're going to get our research on at this point, which I picked up a lab coat during the Argos bullcrap at the intro, and I must have also picked up some of these synth, whatever they're called, alphas. I'm kind of doing this voiceover as we roll, so as it scrolls past too fast, I miss it, and I'm sorry. But we're going to hit up some manufacturing 1 and try to complete it in one rip, and just like that, we complete it in one rip. I'm stoked. And then we're going to go for robots 1 so we can drop a sanitation robot and get more production, 10% more production at that, on inorganic resources, which are what we're producing the most of right now. Actually, solely. That's all we're producing. So we got our robots. We end up getting half of medical treatment. We end up getting like a third of that. And then we get beverage development, so that's awesome because we have access to water extractors. So now we're not going to have to buy drinks because we are playing on survival settings. So we really just run through the gambit here and get what we can. Even though I don't necessarily need the weapon upgrades since we're not killing. If we run into creatures, we can kill creatures. We're just not allowed to kill humans. So, whatever. It might not be a bad idea to have an upgraded weapon for that scenario. But at the same point in time, it does give us experience. And we need levels. We need to beef up science. I drop another iron extractor just because iron is so important for us right now. And then I add another storage box. I wish I could add more, but I'm pretty stiffed on resources here. And then I almost have a lapse of judgment. So, there's the outpost. Okay, 667. Probably wonder, what's he doing out here? Is he scanning? Well, to be honest, I was running over here because I thought to myself, damn, I'm flat broke and I need money. I gotta buy 0 wire, copper, and sealant. So I'm like, let's go raid the outpost next to my outpost. Well, 2 things happened. 1, thankfully, it turned out to be a civilian industrial rig here. 2, I'm an average citizen. I can't go running to outposts looking for trouble. So yeah, I about threw the whole frackin' challenge right down the tubes over a stupid lapse of judgment, but thankfully I stopped myself and I was rewarded. There was a vendor here that gave me my 0 wire, but ultimately it still wasn't enough. I still had to go back to Akila as usual, where I sold all of my neodymium because I really don't need it right now, and then I sell some random parts that are important but I don't really need right now. I sell some ammo that I got for the bank heist, and you know we're down bad when we're slinging notepads. But ultimately it was enough to get some sealant, which I desperately needed, to get some more 0 wire, which I desperately needed, and then hey, right back to the moon, baby. So that was kind of a quick trip, but that's gonna be this run for the start of it. Until we're self-sufficient, we're gonna be making some Akila runs. But right off the rip, we finally got our simple fabricator down, the first one, and that is the ticket to create money, baby. So we finally are gonna be able to print some cash here by making adaptive frames. But we needed another solar array to power it. There we made our connection to it. One connection, that is, which was our iron connection. And then here, we're going to take the connection from our incoming resources from the other planet, and then we're going to connect that. Because we got aluminum coming from that other planet that we need for this simple fab. So we're getting iron on this planet, and then that aluminum's coming from the other moon. And between those two, we can run our simple fab. We create some storage, snake them together, connect them, and just like that, we have enough power to run this bitch, and now we can make adaptive frames. And that is essentially what next episode's going to be all about. Making some cash and really expanding. As you can see, we only gained 1 level for this episode, but that's mainly because we were kind of slogging. Like the startup is the hardest part in my opinion. But for this next episode, honestly, I think what we're gonna do is find a planet that gives us nickel and copper. And we could use lead, we could use tungsten, we could use titanium, platinum. I also noticed there's some benzene on Akila, which we do need for our water extractors. So, really, episode 2, the name of the game is printing cash with adaptive frames, but also using those adaptive frames for expansion. I mean, the whole episode is going to be all about expansion. So, we'll see. We will see. I mean, hey, maybe the Chang already knows what happens. Maybe the Chang's already started to record episode 2. Or maybe he hasn't. Who knows? I guess you'll never know. I guess you'll have to wait 2 weeks from now, because next weekend will be episode 2 of Can't Leave Varunka. But anyways, I hope you guys are enjoying what I got going down here so far. I mean, the first episode is really, like I said, it's a slog. It's going to take some time to really start making this Outpost network more than just like some amateur stuff. But for 1 episode, and for starting with no money, 64 freaking credits, and not killing, not stealing, I'd say we're doing pretty damn good. Like, as an average citizen, here we are sitting with 2 planets that have 8 resources in total. We got our simple fabricator set up and running, making adaptive frames that we can sell and use. Adaptive frames are expensive, guys, so, I mean, that's going to save us a lot of money. But if you enjoy this series, drop a like, and if you want to see some more series like Varunka Can't Leave and This Average Citizen, make sure you subscribe for more. I'm Jimmy Changa. Peace out.